tips for finding better work-life balance. So if you didn't watch my previous video on reframing this concept, then definitely go and check it out. But for those of you who've just landed here and are desperately trying to find out how on earth to be able to balance both work and life, you're in for a real treat. I'm going to be sharing with you 3 tips and tools today for you to be able to find more alignment, more ease and grace. Tip number 1, drop this idea of balance and rather drop in to your body to find the state of being of balance. We can either have it or not. It's not some concept or thing that we get in the future. Balance is a feeling, right? We can either have it or not. It's not some concept or thing that we get in the future by having all our ducks in a row. So we need to be able to drop out of the busyness of the mind that's evaluating and creating stories about how chaotic our lives actually are, and all those rhymes and reasons and excuses for why things aren't working, and drop into the body to activate the feeling of balance in order to have it. How do we do this? Actually use our breath. Our breath is a bridge between the conscious and the subconscious mind. So as we're starting to feel perhaps overwhelmed or like we're about to drop some balls, to be able to actually pause and take a breath, to recalibrate and to find that limit, to find where those edges are, to be able to actually bring ourselves back into alignment. Tip number 2, if you find it quite challenging to be able to know how to navigate all of the many roles that you feel like you're having to step into, then you're in the right place. It can be really, really challenging to be able to figure out who we are from moment to moment. Maybe the persona that we are at work, which is a bit more thicker skinned, doesn't necessarily bring us joy when we're in our home space. But it can be really challenging to try and switch between roles. We bring work home with us, and maybe we take our personal problems into the workspace. This can make us feel really overwhelmed, really confused, and inevitably lead to burnout. The idea is to be able to find ourselves in each role as we are presented with it. So there may be a different version of us that we have at work, a different state of being that's required at home, a tenderness, a gentleness if you're a mother or a wife, and maybe a bit more of a thicker skin when you're showing up in the corporate world, or different skills that are required, and it may feel quite hard to be versatile in those states. So we really want to become hyper aware and very conscious of the different roles and what those roles are asking from us and what we need in order to replenish ourselves from whatever is being required for that role. Super challenging, especially when we've been locked in certain roles for such a long time. We actually forget that there's all these other facets to our being. So in that second tip, I invite you to get really curious as to which roles are you playing at work and in your personal life? What's being asked of you, and what do you need in order to fill that cup? Tip number 3, meet each moment uniquely. When we think of this concept of work-life balance, we feel like we should have the same amount of energy for all the things in our life. And as you are well aware, we don't. When we drop all of those concepts of what we should be doing or how we should be showing up, and we just meet the moment with as much alignment as possible, magic happens. We're able to be way more flexible in the way that we show up in all of these different spaces and roles within our lives. So how do we do this? How do we meet each moment? Firstly, it comes back to that step number 1. The more embodied we are, the more able we are to meet a moment with presence. If we're not actually in our physical bodies, it's really hard to be able to even not only shift what we're feeling, but even be aware of what it is we're feeling from moment to moment to moment. So to recap, tip number 1, drop out of this concept that balance is something outside of you. Drop in to find it within the framework of the body. Number 2, become aware of the roles and archetypes that you are showing up as in each aspect of both work and life. And number 3, really meet each moment with as much presence and flexibility. Asking yourselves questions like, does this feel aligned to me? What would it feel like if it was aligned? Am I leaning a little to the left, a little to the right? What tool out of my colorful toolbox do I need in this moment in order to bring me back into alignment? If this is a concept that really resonates with you, do like and subscribe so that you can be notified for future videos.